Rise above inflation with Freedom Federal Credit Union's 7-month certificate, a CD special with a 5% APY. Take your savings higher with Freedom's 7-month certificate. Visit freedomfcu.org to take advantage of this limited time offer.
So today I had the pleasure of speaking with a gentleman. I guess you could say he is an anchor in Havre de Grace, John Clisavage, owner of Washington Books and
Washington Street Books.
Washington Street Books. I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Washington
you gotta have
Street
that
Books.
street in there.
Yeah, he's not in the state of Washington. He's on Washington Street in Havre de Grace. But God, your store has grown tremendously. And
Yeah.
I love coming up there because, well, of course, you got the comics and the toys, all albums and all that. But you got a little museum in there as well.
Yeah, about 8 years ago, we started displaying the movie costumes inside our store. My son made the mistake of telling me I wasn't allowed to buy any more costumes until I started displaying them. Yeah, that was like pouring gas on a fire. Not a good thing for me. I went from 30 costumes to over 1,500 costumes in the last 8 years. Yeah, it's got a little
That you
crazy.
bought?
Yeah, that I bought. Probably close to $250,000 is what we're figuring now. So it's like I'm lucky I have a wife still.
Where do you keep them all? I know you can't keep them all in
We
the store.
we keep them in a variety of places, store, home, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, wherever I can stick them.
Have you ever thought about doing a traveling museum with them?
That was our original dream, is that we would put on an exhibit for roughly 3 or 4 months, and that we would transfer them to a new museum, and they would continue it, and then through the transfer costs of them displaying them, that we could help to fund some of the newer exhibits. We haven't quite been able to do that as of yet. The museum has really grown. We started out with 3 costumes about 8 years ago on display with 3 cases. And that was began with the Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, yeah.
We had Dynamo's costume. It was so cool. Big, huge bubble.
Wow.
And then we had such a attention to it and such energy of people coming in to see it and going out and grabbing their family that we ended up expanding it. We're now up to 49 costumes on display in the store and 1 at the Opera House. So we have 50 on display total right now. But you can imagine if I worked for a long time, it would be hard to get all 1,500 of those on display. But we keep doing.
You somehow or another, Havre de Grace or Harford County needs a huge building, and you need to set it up strictly as a museum.
I would love to do that. I think the hardest part for all museums is to survive financially. I think we're doing much greater, I think, in numbers than a lot. The stats I heard a few years ago were as a typical museum will see about 8,000 people in this area per year. Last year we had 27,000 people through the door. So
whoa.
It's a really an amazing experience when you see people come through the door. I love it. I'll have someone walk up to the counter and I'll go, as you look around here, we have all these original film costumes, and they'll go, hold that thought, and they'll run out the door, and I'll go, uh-oh, what did I just do? And then they'll come back in with their whole family. They'll drag them in, and they'll go, okay, now tell us what's going on. And I've had it where on a Sunday, we gave someone a tour, and Monday morning, they're standing outside my door with their whole family, and I'm like going, okay.
Wow.
It's been a really wonderful experience because the pieces we display are really unique. I don't know if you can see the one behind me, but this is from the movie Respect with Jennifer Hudson. It's the rarest of the dresses from the film. Took 3 months to make. It's called the Amsterdam dress. It weighs about 25 pounds of Swarovski crystals and pearls. It's all beads, and it's about a $30,000 dress. So it's really gorgeous. Yeah, this new exhibit, which is 22 costumes just for the film Respect, is the largest single exhibit we've done for one movie, and it's about $60,000 in costumes. So it's a really beautiful thing. If you get a chance, you got to come see it. It will be on display through February. We'll extend it here in the next couple of weeks. We'll add to the 22 costumes for Black History Month, which is coming in January, February, and we'll add costumes from Dreamgirls with Jennifer Hudson again, and Beyonce. We'll add costumes from Denzel Washington with The Great Debaters, And so that should be really a beautiful exhibit, even more so it'll add to the history, because the theme through all of this movie has, in addition to being phenomenal life of Aretha Franklin, is the amazing strides she made with the civil rights movement.
Right.
And when you watch Dreamgirls, there again, there are these scenes that bring you back to the fact that the whole civil rights movement is going on behind the scenes through these films and how important they are. Of course, with respect, you see Martin Luther King and you see Aretha Franklin's work with the marches and everything else like that. But with
Mm-hmm.
Dreamgirls, Effie turns to her boss and says to him, "How come this guy gets his own record when I'm still trying to get the B side of a 45?" And she drops down the record. It's Martin Luther King's record, "Long Walk to Freedom." And so, it's essentially going through all these films, and it's so important for us to bring forward to let people realize that these are things that people fought very heavily for, and they're
Mm-hmm.
they're in the film in a way that they're casual, but they're so important. And we're hoping that the exhibit will emphasize this and bring more people to realize how much history and how far we've come and how much farther we need to go. So.
So with something like that, would you be bringing these? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you said you purchase all of these.
Yes, we own over all these costumes, literally over 1,500. I don't know quite how many. My wife doesn't really want me to know. I think if she finds out that I'm really closer to 2,000, she's going to just kill me. So.
Right. So, would you be bringing these back out, say again next year, or would you
Well,
wait for like another special occasion?
what we'd probably do is, well, we have right now, our plans is that this will run through the end of February, through Black
Mhm.
History Month. And then we've had a wonderful experience here about a month ago. A young lady came in and took pictures of our Hunger Games costumes. And
Mhm.
we're always excited. It's kind of humorous because it's the different generations. I always say to people, please take pictures. It's like AT&T. One person tells one person, next person tells another, and they go, "Who's AT&T?" so, so it's definitely a different generation. But
Oh
she
yes.
she took pictures of the Hunger Games, and when she did, she posted a TikTok video. That TikTok video has reached 337,000 views. It has
Nice.
52,000 likes, and it has 477 questions of where is this place. So our dream right now is to take this very large exhibit that we've done this year and expand it even more. So next March, starting March and April, we will change the whole store to Hunger Games. So
Cool.
we own over 60 costumes from this film. And this will be the largest. It'll be the whole store will be Hunger Games. Now there will be a couple specialty pieces like the pearl dress will probably be out, and of course we leave carry out, and we leave a
Right.
couple of these really extensional ones on display in different quarters. But the whole store will become phenomenal. And of course, I came really close a month ago, about almost bought a chariot to come in the store, but I wasn't sure yet because Hunger Games has those chariots in the beginning of the film. I couldn't be sure I could get it through the door.
Oh jeez. Yeah, I think you need a garage door in
Wide
the
by
back.
5 feet tall. And I did measurements and it didn't quite seem like I could get it through the door. So I thought I better hold off. It was in Las Vegas of all places. So
Oh my
it,
god.
yeah, I went to a guy in New York. It cost 3,200 to get it here. So, and that wasn't counting the cost of the piece. So I thought maybe I should hold off until I can get one closer that I can measure and make sure I can take the wheels off because I'd have to rearrange the whole store to get it in here.
You think?
Well, I thought, what could be cooler than you walk through the door and you see a chariot from Hunger Games and get your picture in it, you
That
know?
would be pretty cool. Wait, okay, wait a minute. Now, John, don't get any costumes from like a Western with John Wayne or Clint Eastwood or something, because if there's a stagecoach in the center
Oh
of your
yeah.
store,
Well, yeah.
uh-oh.
Give me time. The humorous part about that is that we have in the very back of our store we have some roll up garage doors. So we, eventually you might be able to figure out how to get the stagecoach in the back door so that we can load it. Well, this used to be Western Auto in here, so they had
Oh,
cars
was it?
Yeah, this side it was Western Auto. The other side of the
Oh,
store was Beta Shoe, and so
I didn't do that.
that was the joke. You see, 25 years ago, I came up with this great idea. You can see I'm full of great ideas, and I bought this wonderful one-horse sleigh, and I brought it back for Christmas, thinking this would be the most beautiful thing. Drove all the way to Cumberland, Maryland, loaded it in the truck, got it here at 2:30 in the morning, and we couldn't get it through the door.
Oh God.
Oh yeah, so I couldn't go in the window because I couldn't get through the doors. So I ended up 5 years later cutting a hole. We moved to the bigger side over here, and I cut a hole through the wall big enough to get the sleigh in. So I don't think I could do that. I don't think I'm cutting any more holes. So
I bet your wife doesn't allow you to watch Titanic, does she?
oh, she does, but she's always saying to me, "Why are you watching this film? Are you really? Have you got another costume that you just bought?" It's true. So, yeah, it's a little scary. Well, I she doesn't know yet, but I bought President Snow's outfit here on Saturday, I guess. I know she suspected it because she looked at me and she saw it on the computer and she goes, "No, you're not buying President Snow's costume." And then when she left, I'm like, tickle.
Hey, John, guess what? When she sees this, she'll know.
Yeah, that's true. And I'll probably be really in trouble then.
You might want to break the news to her.
Oh yeah, well, you see, this is what I've learned to do is that while I'm talking to customers in the store, I go, "Oh, we got this new costume coming in." And my wife goes, "What?" and we got this, and this. And she goes, "What?" And
Oh
I go,
God.
it's my protection, you see. I figured that she won't kill me in front of those people. And so she kind of just simmers back there.
Actually, let me ask you, because one of my favorite shows, and I don't know if you have any of the costumes from it or not, but if you do, oh my God, it would be amazing. The Carol Burnett Show and the stuff that
Oh,
Bob Mackie always made. Do you have
yeah.
anything from that?
No, a lot of the really amazing pieces have gone to the Smithsonian. The one
Okay.
with the Gone with the Wind and everything
Yes,
else
that's
like
what I was
that.
thinking of.
Yeah, that one's on display from what I understand at
Okay.
the Smithsonian now. Yeah, it's one of those classic films and so forth. Now, that's the hard part about a lot of the pieces that we collect is that our generation knows all those classic films, but
Yes.
sadly enough, so many of the younger generation have no idea who these people are. And to give you a really bad example, I had one of my kids in who has been coming to our store since he was probably 14. He's like 24 now. And I had someone walk in with some memorabilia, and I said, "People won't know who these things are." And I said to him, "Here's an example." I said, "Do you know who John Wayne is?" He goes, "He's a singer, isn't he?"
Well, he started out as Sandy the Singing Cowboy, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Oh God.
but I don't think most people
Yeah,
would
that no
know he's a
people, yeah,
singer.
people don't know him as that. A, si- a singer? I was
Singer,
so
yeah. So, that was a real grab to the sky. So my thoughts are is that today a lot of these people don't really know things unless they're in the last 20 years,
yeah.
the millennials and so forth like that. But I did look at that dress really hard that came up for sale on, I think it was Heritage Auction for Titanic. They only wanted 87,000 for it.
Oh, only?
Only, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's just
and
chump
and
change.
and then you add 25% to that for the fee, so you're up over 100 grand for that. But the Jack Dawson outfit sold, Caprio's outfit sold, but her dress didn't sell because there were multiple of those. But I would
Wow.
love to have something like that, but I think I would need donations to be able to buy something like
Yeah. Well, that and you would need to get a lot of gifts for your wife.
that. Yeah. Well, I don't think I told you this, but one day she came in and she said, "I'm just going to poison you." And I said, "Honey, look around the shop. If I die, you have to deal with all this." And she said, "Never mind."
So, out of all those outfits and costumes and memorabilia that you have, is there one that's actually your favorite?
That's the hard part is that I fall in love with film
Yeah.
and how it progresses to me. So I would say more my favorites are different movies. We collect Hunger Games. It really reached inside me. This individual character who stays true to herself against all odds,
Mhm.
against everything to be true. And so we collect Hunger Games, we collect beautiful creatures. I have multiple costumes from both of those. And then we have about 60 costumes from Hunger Games, 60 costumes from Beautiful Creatures. I also collect the TV show Heroes. And so we have some really amazing pieces from that. And then in addition to that, we collect films that have one of those reach throughs and, just connect with you, feelings that they touch the heart.
Yeah.
I like it when you walk in and you see something like The Dress from The Notebook, and the people just go, "Oh my God, I love that film. It was so
Yeah.
amazing to me." And so, um, specifically, I wouldn't tell you I have one over the other, but I would tell you each of them draws a different feeling
Right.
from, and that makes a difference. And it's hard because when you really love these films, I mean, uh, you just when you sit down with them, you go, "Oh my gosh, I remember that scene. That was just so amazing." And of course, they filmed here in Havre de Grace, House of Cards. So
Right.
at one point, I got a little carried away. I bought about 110 costumes from that.
God.
Well, yeah, yeah. The best part was when the prop masters, when the show ended, they brought me the gravestone that they used here in Havre de Grace at Angel Cemetery. And unlike most productions where they produce a gravestone, usually it's made out of styrofoam.
Right.
But House of Cards had so much money that they actually cut it out of granite. So I have a 300-pound
Wow.
gravestone sitting in the back of the store that I haven't got out because I'm afraid the kids will want to topple it over. You know how they like
Oh
to
God. Now, out of all, because you're like me, you're a movie buff. You love the
Oh,
movies.
absolutely love them, yeah.
Is there a particular movie that you want stuff from that you haven't gotten yet?
Oh, yes, I would love to get this new Paramount show, 1883. It's haunting. It is just absolutely haunting. The movie, the soundtrack, the
Mhm.
writing, it's just all phenomenal. I would love to have some of the native pieces from that. And recently I saw a show called The English with Emily Blunt, and it was phenomenal too. When you get the characters that are that rich, you just want to own a piece of it. I
Right.
think that's what drew me into the costumes, is that um, you fall in love with these individuals, and by touching or being next to it, it reaches across dimensions.
Yeah.
It's like you're in the presence of that person. I guess what I would really love is something like Jennifer Hudson to walk through the door, or even Jennifer Lawrence from Hunger Games, and stand next to their costume and go, "Would you like me to try this on?"
Well, and actually, I'm glad you said that because you have had celebrities there, haven't you?
Yes, we've been very lucky. I think the most amazing thing is that people don't necessarily tell you who they are.
Yeah.
They'll walk into your store and they really want to be anonymous. And it's the conversation. I really think it's because we try to draw people out and get them to know that we're excited about having them come and see
Right.
the. John Ratzenberger came in. I will tell you, he was one of the nicest people I've ever met.
I love him.
Uh, he was delightful. And a little known thing, his wife came in and she says to me, and she didn't introduce herself as John Ratzenberger's wife. She said, "I'm looking for a Star Wars figure, Major Bren Derlin." And I thought I knew everything about Star Wars because we have a whole room of Star
Yeah,
Wars.
I
I mean,
know.
I have, yeah, life-size figures of Darth Maul, and we have Anakin, and we have a Watto hanging from the ceiling. I even have a 6 foot by 4 foot Millennium Falcon over there. So when I heard this name, I went, "Who?" And my daughter goes, she digs it up. She goes, "Here it is, Dad. This is the action figure." I said, "Well, if we had it, it would be in this case." So we walk over, we're looking and looking. I'm not finding it. She said, "Do you have any Pixar toys?" And I said, "Yeah, right down there." So she walked down, came back. I said, "I'm really sorry. It doesn't look like we have the figure." She said, "Well, I'm going to go get the book." And she walks over. I said, "My daughter will ring you up." And I think Katie was probably about 12 then. And she said, after she finished ringing up, that her husband did the voice of the pig in Toy Story. And then she walked out the door. And I came over, my daughter goes, "She said she her husband did the voice of the pig." I said, "That is very unusual to say." So they were standing in front of the store, and I walked out and I said, "Did you really do the voice of the pig?" He goes, "Yeah." And I go, "What's your name?" He goes, "John." And feeling really kind of foolish at that point, I said, "So what else did you do?" He goes, "Cheers." I went, "Oh." Well, it turns out John Ratzenberger was in Star Wars. He was in Empire Strikes Back, and the scene where Luke Skywalker gets captured by the ice monster, Princess Leia is standing at the door, looking out into the horizon, waiting for him to return because he hasn't come back. And this officer walks up to her and he goes, "We have to close the storm doors because the weather's coming in." And that's John Ratzenberger,
Really?
45, 50 years ago. Yeah, plays Major Bren Durlin. Now, after they left, well,
Wow.
I said to him, "Do you mind if we get some pictures?" And he was delightful. He came
Yeah.
in, we took pictures with him and his wife and my daughter, and they were just out of their way. And so I ordered the toy. So we have the toy now sitting up on top of the shelf. But it was so funny because he was just so down to earth, so nice. And I sent him a message later. Now, imagine this guy gets thousands upon thousands of.
Yeah.
And I just said to him, "I really appreciate the fact that you walked out my store. And when I asked you if you could come back and do pictures, you never hesitated. You were just delightful. You took the time. You could have easily said, 'Hey, we're on our way out,' and everything else." But they were driving up from Florida and stopping in little towns along the way as they were heading home.
Right.
And he wrote me back. He said, "We loved your town. We found all kinds of knickknacks and we had a ball. Really enjoyed the fact that your daughter was working alongside you the way my daughter worked alongside me." And I mean,
Wow.
the guy was just amazing.
Down to
Now,
earth.
Danny Hutton came in. He was so funny. He picked up a microphone and I said to him, "Oh, do you do music from Three Dog Night?" And he goes, "You could say that." He put the microphone down, walked away. I said, "You look famous." He goes, "Infamous." I go, "No, no, you look famous," because he was wearing paisley. Nobody wears paisley
Right.
at Havre de Grace. And he goes, "We're playing here tonight." I went,
I
"Oh, Three
remembered I
Dog
was there
Night?"
at that concert. Yep.
Yeah. He was so nice, just went out of his way. I asked him to take some pictures. He was delightful. But this is the wonderment of the people that come in and
Yeah.
the delight of it. And you just get these great conversations. The one I really loved was the chef walked in the door. He walked in with a woman. I thought they were together. And I said, "As you walk around, we have all these movie costumes. I have Jeremy Irons' costume over there." And he goes, "Oh, Jeremy Irons, I live 5 doors down from him." And I go, "Well, bring him in here. Let me give you a tour." So I'm walking around the store and I'm going, "And we have this, this, and this." And he goes, "Well, my name is Seamus O'Connell. I am a master chef and I have this restaurant in Cork Island." And he hands me a card. And he says, "I'm just going to look around a little bit." I said, "Oh, please do." And I walked over, and my wife is just zooming away on the computer. And she goes, "Look at this. Look at this. He looks just like Sir Richard Branson." And I go, "But he's not. He's Seamus O'Connell." But she goes, "Look at these pictures." So he walks over and he's walking next to the CDs and he goes, "I had lunch with Annie Lennox, and because there was the CD there." And I said, "Of course you did. You're a master chef." He said, "No, I walked into this hotel and the maitre d' thought I was Sir Richard Branson. He said, 'Follow me.'" He said, he sat me down with Annie Lennox and she goes, "You're not Sir Richard." And she goes, "No, but we had such a great time. We had lunch together." And I mean, these are the people that come and they're so wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
they share their moments with us and they allow us to see the beauty of how normal and how generous they are because I'm sure they get swamped in the real world and they really
Oh,
really have
yeah.
a chance.
Oh,
So,
yeah. It's crazy. I mean, um, that would be neat though to see Jennifer Hudson just walk in and
oh my gosh, I think I would die. Or
or
even,
Jennifer
well,
Lawrence. Oh,
oh, she's gorgeous, and
yeah.
you see a lot of. She's genuinely seems to be a really nice and funny
Mhm.
person too, and and Jennifer Hudson too. She's known for being this area and delightful. She does a lot of wonderful things. Not to mention
Yeah.
how amazing she is singing and stuff. But any of them that starred in these films, we would love to just have them realize that we really appreciate their gifts and that we try to treasure them by showing them off and sharing the costumes that they wore so that people have a better appreciation. I think that's really what we're trying to do is we want people when they watch a film to realize how much goes into those costumes and those
Yeah.
these are designed by Clint Ramos, phenomenal Broadway designer. amazing individual, and his work is to die for. So when you see a costume up close, you realize how much work went into it. This one here took 3 months, if you can imagine. It's
Jeez.
thousands upon thousands of beads, plus the Gorski crystals and pearls. 3 months on one dress, it's amazing.
S-
And you
mm,
look at the detail and the quality of the work that goes into these pieces, and it really gives you a better understanding. Because I tell people, if you watch a movie that does really well, 99% of the time it's because the costume designer brought you into the feel of the film by what they were wearing. If the
right.
costumes don't match the story, or they're too elusive, they're too different from what you know, you'll never empathize with that actor. And then you'll never be into it. The reason I think that Hunger Games became so amazing was the costumes very earthy. People looked at them and said, I could wear that. I could be her. And because of that, they realized that she was just like you and me, and
Yeah.
she was that great person. So, all these things are really, really important in costume design. And these people that just do this work deserve a lot of credit. And all the other people behind the scenes that do the lighting and the miking and
Oh
what we
God,
call the
yeah.
photographers. Yeah, there are tons of people that you never hear about. You see them on those long lists at the end of the
Uh-huh.
film, but you have no idea how much work goes into these films. And
And how important their work is
yes,
to make the
exactly.
people in the movie and set and everything look good.
Yeah, I agree. They make such a difference in the
Mhm.
filming and the beauty of it all. So, we got the best of both worlds. We get to
Yeah.
show off all these wonderful costumes and dream about who we might meet and go from
See,
there.
and I would love to talk to Jennifer Hudson simply about that gown to ask her
Oh,
how well, number 1, how long does she have to wear that for? Because you said it weighs 25 pounds.
yeah, 25 pounds, and she was in heels, which is really impressive. Yeah, they're short heels, but they're still heels. And you see her in the poster rocking back with this microphone. And I want to think, how does she get back from rocking back
Yeah.
with that?
I mean,
Because
because
it's gorgeous.
sometimes they have to be in costume for hours doing
Yeah,
take after take after take. And I'm sorry, you're wearing 25 pounds, and I know there's other costumes that weigh more than that,
yeah.
but that could take a toll on somebody.
Yeah, and it's exquisite. Well, the humorous part is that also it doesn't take much to break a couple of those bead strands and have
Yeah.
little
Oh,
beads
yeah.
flying all over the place. So, but what's
Yeah.
amazing about the dress is that it's very similar to the dress that Aretha Franklin wore, and so when you look at them in the pictures, it's the design work is just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And some of these things that we have, like the beautiful dresses from Beautiful Creatures, they're layer upon layer. They have hoops on the bottom, and they have crenolines over the top, and underskirt,
Mm.
and everything else. And when they're worn, this one's worn by Emma Thompson. She sachets. The movement just goes side to side, and it's just so beautiful to see
Yeah.
the motion. And there again, the quality of the work, and also the actor and actress who take that to the next level. So yeah, it's like the best of both worlds. The hard part is that sooner or later I'm going to have to start separating out some of these pieces, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to afford, or I'm not going to be married. I guess you probably, I can see it. You'll see me in the news, this homeless guy with 1,500 costumes strapped over his back.
Actually, have you ever had the Smithsonian or anybody else contact you, wanting any of your costumes?
Not at this point. We've had people from the Smithsonian who work for them come in
Mhm.
and are aware of us. And some of the conversations with them is amazing, because they give you little insights to some of the costumes and everything else like that. And I remember talking to somebody about the ruby slippers after they were found, a pair
Right.
that were returned, and how they were brought to the Smithsonian to be looked at to see if there needed to be any restoration. And his comment was they do the smallest or the minimum restoration that they can, because they want to keep it as original as they can.
Yeah.
And it was fascinating. I would love to take that next step, of connecting more maybe even there would be a great one if we could take some of our costumes and put them on exhibit there and back and forth. Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd be a great idea.
Yeah.
That'd be a lot easier because, after talking to you, I realized you wouldn't be able to do a traveling museum because if you did, you would need God knows how many tractor trailers.
Well, I'm not quite that bad, but I did have a friend out in like Utah that was that bad. He had like two 40-foot container loads
Oh my
of
God.
costumes. Well, that was probably my downfall. We connected, and he's the nicest guy. I really like him terribly. I probably ended up buying 400 or 500 costumes from him just from the TV show Heroes. So his stuff was amazing. He'd been collecting for probably 20 years, but he used to do conventions too, where he
Right.
would go to all these Star Trek stuff. He put them on. So he was even more connected to all these people that would come for the shows and stuff like that. And we felt like kindred spirits. And I don't know if you remember the show Heroes, but it
Mm-hmm.
came out with the premise. It was kind of a comic book crossover with the idea that this guy could see the future and he would paint these paintings and they would turn them into a comic book. Well, the paintings on screen look, just normal size, but to make them show up, they were actually like 5 foot by 8 foot on some
Wow.
of them. And he had about 10 or 12 of those. And I purchased 10 of them. And they were so large we couldn't ship them on their canvases because it would have cost $1,000 a piece to get them here. So instead, we had them taken off and rolled. So we had the canvases for all those to be put back up, and I hope to do a big exhibit for that one time too, because then
Wow.
you come in and actually see how large and how beautiful these paintings are, which is cool.
Well, John, if you can tell everybody two things. Number one, when this exhibit, actually a few things. Number one,
Okay.
remind everybody again when this exhibit is running through.
Okay, right now we have the main exhibit is Respect. It's made up of 22 costumes. It of those 22 costumes, 8 of them are Jennifer Hudson's costumes, some of the most beautiful in the film. I don't know if you can see it because I'm kind of dodging here. Behind me, let's see if I can step out for a
The
second.
gown.
Nope. Yeah, well, the gown, the gown is one thing, but there's a big blue poster that was done for Respect, and that has the other costume a little further down, which is in the background. It's this blue with this ostrich feather choker, and that's in the scene where Martin Luther King gives her a proclamation. That's used for one of the major posters. The beautiful pearl dress behind me is the other poster for the film. So those are 2 of them. We also have what we call the Marilyn Monroe, which is off to the side. On this other side here, it's all beautiful gold. That was used in the trailers for the film. It's exquisite. Then we have her Egyptian costume, which is where she falls off
Ooh.
stage. That's really stunning. It has the full crown and everything else. Very heavy dress too, again. And then we have the Paris dress, where she has 3 background singers. But essentially, out of these 22 pieces from this film, they will be on exhibit through February, the end of February. And here at the end of December, beginning of January, we will add an additional roughly 8 costumes to that exhibit, which will feature more on Black History for Black
Mm-hmm.
History Month, which is technically February, but we'll start putting it out in January so that there'll be more time to see it.
Right.
And those will be costumes from Dreamgirls with Jennifer Hudson, costumes from Beyonce. We have one from that from Dreamgirls. We have beautiful costumes from Denzel Washington. Now, you asked me earlier, who do I love? Denzel Washington's the
Oh,
most
he's
amazing
awesome.
actor of all time. I
Yeah.
mean, that guy just and he does these movies that reach inside your soul and they
Mm-hmm.
question everything. So we have costumes from the Great Debaters from that, which will be coming out, which I think was a really prime civil rights movement because it's all about these kids who go on to debate in schools where they normally couldn't have gone, and they win.
Right.
And in addition to that, we will run that exhibit through the end of February. And then when March comes, that will be the beginning of the transition to Hunger Games. So the whole store, we have right now 49 costumes on display. So that's important too. So, and if you haven't seen Respect, you can watch it on Paramount Plus for free, and you can also watch it on Amazon Prime for free. Definitely recommend it, because then when you come in, you go, "Oh my gosh, I saw that."
Yeah.
So even if you just watch the trailer for it, you can. Oftentimes, we put the trailer on in here. You can see 5 or 6 of the main dresses on display in that trailer, and these are all the important ones. But all the time right now, in addition to the Respect exhibit, we have costumes from Hunger Games. 8 of them: Jennifer Lawrence, Stanley Tucci, Lenny Kravitz, Rue's costume.
Wow.
Yeah, these are really.
Oh, shoo.
Oh God. I'm like pressing the buttons, pressing the buttons. I was like, oh no,
I
not
was getting scared.
again.
I was like, my first thought was, uh-oh, John's been running on his battery and it died.
No, some phone call came in. I love this. We're modern technology where you get a little thing that comes across the top and it says scam likely.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I hate that,
And I'm
man.
thinking, no, Rich isn't a scam.
Jeez. The second part, God, because this is something very important.
Okay.
Tell everybody where you're located and the hours that you are open and days that you're open.
Sure. We're located right downtown in Havre de Grace. Really easy. We're on the corner of Washington and Pennington. Anybody who's familiar with Havre de Grace, we are located right across from Joseph's Department Store. We're here every day but Tuesday. We're here Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays from 11 to 6, Fridays and Saturdays from 11 to 8. Those are our later days, and Sunday from 12 to 6. So we have a broad range of hours and everything else like that. Tuesdays we're closed. It's our one day that we try to catch up and get the more stuff done for the exhibits and everything else like that. Because I'll tell you, the minute you pull a costume out of a glass case, everybody comes through the door, and you're like going,
Yeah.
"What do I do? What do I do?"
And what's the website?
Washington Street Books and Music.com is one way, or you can do Washington Street Books and Entertainment Museum, all spelled out.com. But Washington Street Books and Music is .com is the easiest way to get to us. Both go exactly to the same place. The most important thing, though, is to watch us on Facebook under Washington Street Books, only because we are very active with that, and we also do Instagram at Washington
Right.
Street Books, and we're able to keep up with it much faster. You're looking at someone who is vintage, and because of such, my technological skills are limited. So I do Facebook and Instagram really well. Someone else does TikTok much better than I did. I told you the story about TikTok.
Uh-huh.
337,000 and climbing.
Another
Now, if
very
I'd done TikTok, I would have got 4. I want you to know.
yeah, I'm the same way. Nobody wants to look at me. Another very important thing, because we keep talking about the exhibits.
Yes.
Tell everybody everything that you have to offer that they can purchase. And well, I know you can't say everything, but
Well,
that they can purchase, because it ain't just books.
no, we're so much more in the bookstore.
Yeah.
We started out originally with antiques and photography. Books became something that we love because of the history and everything else like that. We have probably 60,000 books. I love it when people walk through the door and they go, "You have a lot of books." We go, "Yes, we're a bookstore." But in addition to books, we have music, both in CDs and vinyl. We have Star Wars is our big love, so we have a whole room of just Star Wars. Now, keep in mind, we have life-size figures of Darth Maul in the window and Spider-Man. We're talking 6-foot, 7-foot figures, and these were done as promotional items. We have a 6-foot by 4-foot Millennial Falcon hanging from the ceiling, and an Anakin Skywalker that's life-size over there. And for all of you people who hate Jar Jar Binks, we do have a 7-foot tall Jar Jar Binks, which we personally love. So I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to put up with it. But we also deal in crystals and minerals, and then we can take it to the other side. We have our oldest book is 1585. It's a book on Roman law written in Latin. We have right next to it an early map from the 1640s of China. And then in addition to that, we go all the full gambit. So underneath the book, which dates from the 1500s, we have a first edition Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer sitting there,
Oh, wow.
which was done as an advertising piece. Right next to that, we have a purse from Hairspray 1988, signed by John Waters, that was actually used on screen, which is really cool. Well, you gotta love John Waters. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
yeah, the funniest part is I keep trying to meet this guy, but I have not done it since. And I know so many people who know him. And one day I'm just gonna walk into him and he's
It'll
gonna go,
happen.
"You're that guy who keeps trying to meet me, aren't you?" So, but the diversity of our store is that we try to have something for everybody.
Yeah.
And I think that surprises people sometimes because, to be honest with you, they walk into Havre de Grace and they go, "What are these movie costumes doing here?" And I keep telling them they're not vintage clothing people, they're original film costumes.
But
Because
you
they'll walk in and see a Western costume and go, "Oh, vintage clothing?"
uh-huh. But you also have a lot of comic books
Yes,
and like
yes, we have
trading
over
cards and all that too,
yeah,
right?
we have over 90,000 comics. Well, we bought
Whoa.
I had a very good friend, Al Stoltz, and I will say he's probably one of the top comic people in the industry. Basement Comics, I'll put a plug in there for you.
Mhm.
And he said to me years ago, "John, you need to get some comics." And so when I opened up the comic side, when a friend closed her business, he said to me, "I'm working on this deal. I've got a chance to buy 150,000 comics. I only want 60,000. Would you be interested?" And I said, "Sure." So a year later, he brought me 90,000 comics. I'm still working on those. So,
God.
and, but to show you the diversity, I mean, we've got chess sets that we've had from the 16 and 1700s.
Oh,
I have
wow.
a trumpet sitting at my back door right now that personally I bought when I was a student that came from a professional Air Force Academy band. And, it was played by top musicians. Doc Severinsen. It was supposedly his original trumpet that he got as a promotion for when the Getz made the Severinsen model, and he played it and he adjusted
Wow.
and everything else. So we're constantly unpacking kind of unusual and odd items throughout the store.
Wow.
So it
Oh
makes it
god.
fun. I mean, I always tell people every time you come in, you'll see something you haven't seen before because we keep finding things.
That's
Well,
amazing. That I mean, every time I come there, I'm just like in awe from
well,
everything that you have, all the costumes, the books. Um, and luckily for me, whenever I come to your store, I don't bring a lot of money
well, there's this
because
little
I'd be in
thing.
trouble.
There's this thing called, a credit card. you,
No.
you, you don't have to carry money. You can have a credit card. We take those too. We even
My
take
wife
Apple
would
Pay.
kill me. I would walk out of there with hundreds, possibly thousands dollars of work. I'm amazed by everything that you have in there. And
Well,
it's
we,
just, it's a shock because there are, first of all of you here in Harford County, if you haven't been there, you don't know what you're missing. You definitely have to get there. Especially if you're into collecting stuff, because I know there's a lot of collectors out there. But just to go in there, if you're a movie buff, if you love these movies, to go in there and just to see the costumes and the memorabilia, it gives you a whole new love for the movie.
I think so too. And of course, I'm a little biased on that, but at the same time, I really think the beauty of our store is that we have everything. I mean, we're not just expensive books or
Mhm.
costumes. Most of the costumes are just display pieces.
Right.
They're there for you to enjoy and come in. So we've created an experience for people. And that experience is come see the beauty behind the scenes, see the work that goes into doing this. And come enjoy this because we're a museum in a different addition to everything else. We're Washington Street Books and Entertainment Museum, and we're so much more than just a bookstore. I think that the beauty of it is that we have items that go from $1 on up. So, I mean, it's not like you have to walk through the door and spend, $1,000 on a book from the 1500s, which is actually cheap. But to give you an example, yesterday one of my regular customers came in. They bought this beautiful chess set from the 1700s. It was gorgeous. It was French.
Wow.
Well, they've been looking at it for about a year, and one night they went over to the wine bar across the street, and they decided after having a couple glasses of wine, they come over and buy the chess set, which is great. I should give them interest across the street. And she came back, and she's been after my pachinko machine I had in the back for the longest time.
You still have that?
Oh no, I sold it yesterday to her. You know why? Because I had to pay for that new costume I just bought. So keep in mind, people, if you come in, you buy something, it helps me to get another costume into the case before my wife divorces me.
Well, it also protects you from your wife poisoning you.
Yes. Well, there's many ways to go.
She don't want to take care of all that.
Yeah. No, she doesn't. And my youngest, who's Katie, says to me, she goes, Dad, I want you to retire someday. I said, no, I'm going to die doing it in the store. She goes, no, you die. I'm going to have to deal with all this. Nobody else is going to want to deal with it. God. So I have a family pretty much oriented towards the idea that sooner or later they're going to have to deal with all this stuff. But it's fascinating because when we see things and we meet these people who love these things as much as we do, there's a camaraderie and a joy in sharing and the friendships that develop through all this. So we invite you to come not just to look at things, but to share the experience that we're here as people that love to let you see the history of Harford County, let you see the history of movies, enjoy the beauty. I mean, we've been here 30 years. That's a long time for a family business. And, I'm going to embarrass my daughter, but you never know the people you meet today are going to be the people who have kids and grow up. Be older. And I have to laugh because a young man that came to me when he was 5, and his parents tell me the story is that he came into our shop and asked me about comic books. And I was very patient with him. And I told him all about Spider-Man and all the stuff. And he was very excited about it. That man is now 22. Okay. And 17 years later, I think he'll probably marry my daughter. So,
oh, wow.
Like the full circle of life. And, I've had people just this last couple of months come in with their new babies, and they remember coming in here when they were really young, and this was their shop and everything else. And now I'm seeing their kids and handing candy canes out to their kids. And, that's the cycle of life. It is. It is a wonderful feeling. And it's a great experience that we're able to share. I think anybody who's come into our store realizes that we're so much more than what we have. We're all about the experience and the excitement of the costumes. I mean, if you get me talking about Hunger Games, I kind of go, oh my God, you got and I'm sure these people are looking at me like, oh God, what is this guy on? But I'm on costumes, you see.
So that's your drug, costumes.
Yeah, my drug. Well, it's scary because I couldn't get the chariot here. I think I told you I was 10 feet long. Yeah. So instead, I spent about $3,000 on 5 new costumes for Hunger Games. So, and my wife's just gonna go, boom.
Jeez. Well, all right, John, I'm going to put you on the spot. Okay. So this is the way I want to end this.
Sure.
Give me one of your favorite quotes from one of your favorite movies.
Oh my gosh. I think it would probably be Godfather. It's the only quote I can ever remember is leave the gun, take the cannoli. I love it. It's like so real.
And it just so happens there's a restaurant right down the road from you that has some great cannolis.
My wife loves that. She picks them up all the time. She is a cannoli person, so, but these movies, they really touch your heart. We have Rue's interview dress on the other side. And when you watch Hunger Games and you see her die, and she surrounds her with flowers, I hate to say this, but I can't stop crying every time I watch the scene. I mean, these are the scenes that they just beat the heart and everything else like that. So, you know, I think of The Godfather as such great scenes. There was an interview recently with Sonny. I can't think of the actor's name, and he just passed, which is really sad. And
Yeah.
they loaded him up with like 100 different squibs for the blowouts, and he had to remember not to raise his hands because those things blow forward and it would have just cut him to pieces. They were all set up.
Ooh.
Yeah, because it was the scene at the toll booth where he gets out of the car and they machine gun him.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh my gosh. He said it just went pop, 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 pop. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, I would first thing you want to do is throw your hands forward, and all these blasts are going on in front of you.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a couple costumes with the squib marks on them, and it's funny because everybody thinks that when they film these things, it's one take, and it's oftentimes 3 or 4 takes where they blow the bullets out and they have to change costumes or anything else like that.
Yeah.
And we had a Gary Busey shirt from a
Oh,
movie called The Soldier. You know, Gary Busey's quite a character. And it was like, take 7, take 8. And I'm thinking, you know, they had to blow these squibs every time he did this. And the scene was his officer says, we're going to leave now. And he goes, I'm not leaving without my men. And the officer pulls his gun out and shoots him and he dies. And I'm thinking, how many times do they have to do this with Gary Busey? Because I might say a 7 or 8 on this shirt.
I love watching him.
Oh,
Even to this day, I mean, I could watch anything with him. He is a character.
he is, and you got to give him credit. He's very talented, but he does
Yeah.
go off the draw.
Oh, yeah. What do they call them? Buseyisms or something like that? Yeah, his
Yeah, well,
he's funny. He is funny. John, I wanna thank you so much,
oh,
and
thank you.
the display after the Hunger Games, you're gonna have to come back on, we're gonna have to talk about it again.
Oh, Hunger
Um,
Games, we definitely have to talk about because we have some amazing pieces. I mean, I think that's something that people don't realize too is that when a movie typically ends or a season in a show,
mhm,
they will, when it's canceled, they will sell the costumes. In the case of Hunger Games, it appears when the first movie ended, they didn't realize it was going to be as big as it is, and
right.
they sold all the costumes. And then, then it took off so much they had to do the second and third film. They had to remake the costumes.
God,
They had sold her a beautiful jacket for like 30,000, I think, 30 or 60, I'm not sure which. And the boots, I think, went for 10 grand. But that hunting jacket was necessary for the next film. So, from what I've heard from people in the industry, is they had to completely remake them to make them identical to the original ones. Because the
wow.
first ones, well, her fire dress sold for $250,000 plus a $50,000 premium. So 300,000 for that dress. Yeah, it's gorgeous. That's why after the first film, they kept most of the costumes. So they're on exhibit. There's an exhibit in Las Vegas right now that you can see the Hunger Games exhibit. So,
Wow.
but that cost you $50. Ours is free.
Uh, yeah, remember that, people, that's important. You can go there and look at all this
Free,
stuff
the
for
big word,
free.
free.
Free. Just when you're there, spend some money on some stuff there.
Oh, we appreciate that. And I will honestly say, so one of our customers said, have you ever thought about putting out a box for donations? And we have one now. If people want to
That's a
donate,
great idea.
we'll use the money to buy more mannequins, more costumes. It's all about presentation and making it a better experience. So we appreciate that very much.